Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new guest in the booth. This is a new format we're trying out. This is Corner Talk. I've been thinking about doing some more short form content, talking to fighters, especially, I like the idea of sort of doing it maybe during fight week. And today's the debut, and we are graced by Sam Hughes, Sampage. How are you doing? How is training?
Good. Thank you so much, Nick, for bringing me on. I really appreciate it. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, welcome to the platform. Excited to have you on. It's always nice to speak to the newcomers, because you're one of those people that came to the UFC during the pandemic. When they took away the crowds and all that. So
yeah.
So something like you were supposed to fight Lupi Godinez, right? October 9th. And
yes,
this was actually supposed to be, people might not know, is actually a trilogy. Right? Because I saw that I was looking at the record that you fought twice in the amateurs. So it's annoying that got taken away because of COVID. Like, we'll get to talk about that situation a little bit more, but now you're booked for this Saturday, November 20th.
Yes.
And you're fighting Luana Pinero, someone who also impressed me in the Contender Series.
Yes, I'm super excited about this weekend. I took this fight on about 12 days notice. So after the whole fiasco with the Lupi fight falling through, and it was a trilogy fight. We fought twice as an amateur. One, it went to a draw, and the second one was a split decision loss. So really frustrating. And like, for me as a pro about to fight her, I was like super excited because I was like, okay, this is redemption. This is like, so the Pacific Northwest is like super biased as far as judges goes. And so I felt like I won both fights, but it is what it is. The records show what they show. So this was my chance to actually like showcase my ability and me fighting it against her. And there's so many people that reached out and were like, I'm so excited for this fight. So I know it's going to happen, whether it's after the Luana fight or wait on the road. But I know it's going to happen because I know that's really what the fans kind of want. They wanted me and Lupi to fight, which I was more than willing to, and I was super happy about it. And I know she was too. But yes, the COVID test that I think was a false positive. I don't know. My coach, we showed up to Vegas on Tuesday in October. And it was so weird. We showed up on campus. We did the Zoom COVID test the week before. Obviously we both passed because we were able to.
Sorry, I lost
you. See in the text message that was like, hey, come down, sign up, register for the whole week and get your schedule and things like that. And so I assumed it was both of us to come down, and they were like, no, he hasn't gotten his COVID results back. So anyway, we went back up to the room and waited, and then they called him and were like, hey, you tested positive. And then we found out like 20 minutes later that Lupi had got rematched. So that was pretty devastating as far as that goes for me. I was really looking forward to it. I know Lupi was really looking forward to it. But the fight that matters now is this coming up weekend against Luana. So I'm very excited. She's a very good judo fighter, and I know she's going to come out guns a-blazing. So I'm pretty excited about that, and I think the fans should be excited about it too.
Same, and I always wonder like why they like. Maybe those are the kinds of fights they want to put on the beginning of the card because you're opening the card, the prelims. So.
Am I? I thought it was like 6th.
Is it? I think it's on. Let me pull this up because the last I checked yesterday was like you're opening it.
Okay.
Let me see.
Because I thought I looked up something, and this was a couple days ago, so it probably changed. But yeah, I thought it was 6th on the card. It was like the second to last fight before the main card opened up.
Oh yeah, you're according to Google, you're the first. So that's usually what, that's cool. I mean, but what do you prefer? Like, would you prefer to be the 6th on the card or open it?
You know what? I really don't have a preference. I kind of shut out everything like going into it, and like, especially in the warm-up room. So like nothing really matters. But yeah, I'm really excited. So I could be first or last or whatever, and it doesn't bother me.
The weird thing about like the COVID situation, that pissed me off. I mean, like, because the more I get to know certain fighters, and you start to know like how important, not just, it's just the financial aspect. I mean, of it, that you don't get compensated at all, right? And you have to, you spend your own travel tickets. How about accommodation? Do you have to spend Do you pay for that or?
So that was I guess good and bad. So they wouldn't approve my coach getting on the flight back to Seattle, obviously, close quarters and things like that. So they were like, the best we can do is get you guys a rental car, but I put that on my card, and then they're like, we'll reimburse you. So the next day we went through that whole rigmarole of trying to find a car, and everything in Vegas at that point was like sold out. So we had to wait like a full 24 hours. It seemed like such a headache. And then it was so expensive. It was like $1,200 to rent a rental car from Vegas to Seattle. And it just seemed like, yeah, it was steep. So anyway, it is what it is, but we had to drive 18 hours back. I know people have driven longer, but that 18 hours was rough.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially since, like, I don't know, leaving Vegas was kind of like super sad too, as we were like driving off, because I was like, man, this is not how I was expecting this week to go and everything else. So it was just heartbreaking, the whole situation itself.
Drive by all those fun places that you're gonna go to after to celebrate, you know?
Yes, exactly. That's you already guessed it.
Yeah. So, you know, let's get the people to know you. What's sort of your martial arts background? Because when I look at, am I correct in assuming that you sort of went straight into MMA? And, you know, you seem like you have a wrestling base. Is that true?
Well, I like to think that. That's kind of like where I walked in the gym. I have, like, other than actually like no kickboxing experience prior to like walking in the gym, no wrestling. I have family that are wrestlers and things like that, but in no jiu-jitsu. So I came into the sport as a runner, basically, because I ran track and cross country in college. So basically my athletic background is all running, endurance sports.
Cardio.
Very
important.
Cardio,
so. Still. Yeah.
Which I feel like coming into the sport, it kind of like gave me a slight edge because cardio has never been an issue for me. I love it. You know, that's kind of like a huge way for me to like break away and just kind of like focus and get into my own zone.
Yeah.
Which is a huge benefit. But before I walked into the gym, I had no martial arts background at all. I mean, I did karate when I was little, but I didn't stay in it for very long. So my coach actually started me with kickboxing. I was a 9-0 kickboxer as an amateur. And then we really started sitting on my jiu-jitsu and wrestling and things like that. So overall, I would say I'm more of a kickboxer because I have more experience in that versus any other skill set.
Awesome. So I assume because I see the wrestling is good, I thought, you know, I assumed that's where you started, you know?
Nope.
Okay,
Well,
cool.
That's huge. But my training partners are, you know, I have a few Division I college wrestlers that I work with on a daily basis. So I feel pretty fortunate to be able to train with them and get so many tips and tricks and things like that to just kind of like boost me forward to become like a really good wrestler. So I'm excited to showcase that skill set too.
What kind of was the big opportunity that was presented to you that sort of made you decide to just stick with this with MMA and go for it professionally? Because you had let's say you started 5 years ago, you had your first amateur fight.
Correct.
And that's a short time. I mean, like
super short. It's kind of shocked me how quickly everything's kind of gone.
Yeah, your fifth pro fight was for the LFA title.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, like, yeah. So
I mean, I was fighting back to back to back, and I was super excited about it. I'd like to stay super busy because if I don't, then I don't know. Not that I get into trouble or anything like that, because I'm pretty big rule follower, but I don't know, I just get bored, and then so I need to stay busy with fighting and everything else. But I basically walked into the gym and trained for about 9 months, and then my coach asked me if I wanted to, you know, actually fight or if I just wanted to do like rec classes. And after I had my first amateur fight, I was hooked. I was like, there's no way I want to do anything other than this. I love this so much.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then this December last year, you know, you got called up. Then you got called up by the UFC. I mean, I'm sure you already knew you were gonna fight there at some point. You know, did you have the contract signed already before that, or? But
I didn't. It was Mick called the Sunday before, and we knew after that last LFA performance where I got the guillotine choke and got the submission in round 1. We knew that it was going to be pretty short after that I would get the call up, but we just didn't expect one, it was going to be a top 10 opponent, or how quickly that was going to kind of like snowball. But regardless, I was super excited about the opportunity, and you know, just to share the cage with Tecia was like an amazing opportunity and an amazing experience. I would do it again and again and again.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, well, you know, how do you end up making your UFC debut against a top 10 opponent, which in my eyes now, especially after the last performance, it should be a top 5. She'll be a top 5 soon again, and the biggest household, one of the biggest household names in the strawweight division. Correct.
And then as far as my second fight goes, I mean, that was like she's on her way to be the top 15, Loma, yeah, and I definitely want to rematch her because I was pretty disappointed with that decision, but it is.
I have a feeling it'll happen. Like, this is how the UFC works, because they put you and then Loma and Loopy, who you're also supposed to fight, are on the same card. So
yes,
it's probably like, depending on how those things work out, you're gonna face one of them.
I think so. I think that's exactly how it's.
And she's been very active. I'm pretty sure if you call her out, like, in 2 weeks, you can fight her. Like, she's also like taking a fight every week. So
yeah, what was it? Somebody told me the other day. She's like 3rd fight in 5 weeks or something like that. So
yeah, it was like, dude, yeah, within almost a month, it's just like three fights in.
Yeah,
and one was like a weight class up, and she lost, but yeah, short notice, weight class up, yeah, whatever. What do you know? What are you paying attention to, though? What are you training on the most facing Luana?
Yeah, so I know that she's a judo girl, so she's gonna try to head and arm throw, or do trips and things like that. I know she's gonna want to get a hold of me. So that kind of plays into my skill base pretty well as a kickboxer. But I haven't seen, I guess, like in her earlier fights outside of the UFC, I did see a few of her finishes with arm bars, but those were against kind of like, not so great girls. So I don't know. I think if I were to go on the ground with her, it would be a great matchup. And also if I like stood and chuck bombs with her, I can definitely do that too.
Yeah. Do you prefer to know a lot more about your opponent, or go in there knowing less? You know, like, as in maybe sometimes the unknown, it's better not to know certain things and over prepare instead of over preparing. You know what I mean?
I've kind of felt like I have over prepared in the past. That is definitely a thing. But no, I feel like I've done a lot of tape study on Luana in the short amount of time that before I signed this fight or signed the contract, and I think I've prepared really well for it. I know exactly what she wants to do. She seems to be like, you know, this is her main thing that she likes to do. So as long as I take that away from her, you know, she can't really do much. So I'm very excited.
Do you have any inspirations, like sort of people that inspired you maybe to continue this journey, or maybe other fighters that you look up to that, you know?
Oh man, I've got a lot. Barb Honchak, just starting off, she came into the gym whenever I was an amateur, and I was on my rise up, and working with her, man, that has been such a blessing. She taught me so much. Her wrestling base is amazing, coming from Pat Miletich and the Miletich system. That was awesome. And then Juliana Pena, I've trained with her a couple times, and she is like such an inspiration. I mean, her work ethic, her mentality is just, you know, it's awesome to kind of like soak that in, because she's such a cool person. Whenever you get to pick her brain and just like sit there and talk with her, she's awesome. I look up to her quite a bit. And just my coach and things like that. I've got some great training partners, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, Juliana is like, because she's fighting Amanda, and what scares me about Juliana is the fact that she does not care. She is not scared of Amanda. That's what's scary.
That that is like, that's not a front. That's not like anything fake. That is 100% her. She's like,
there's like
fuck
no
you,
respect.
I'm coming to take that belt and it is mine. And like, that's exactly like what I'm talking about. It's like whenever you talk to her, she is like 100% confidence, 100% like sure of herself. Like I love it. I look up to that so much because I'm like, yeah, that's exactly who I'm trying to be and like find myself and like, you know, develop this little become a better version of myself. And she is that. Yeah.
There was one of the fan questions that we're gonna get to, and I think that I know your answer already by now, and I'll tell you when we get there. Okay. So like in terms of coaches, right? What is something what are you looking for? Like what do you want from your corner in between the rounds? Because that's something that is always being debated, right? And there was the whole Aspen Ladd situation, you know, that you know people were talking about. But what, because some people want a lot of information, they want all the details. Some people just need a pep talk. Some people like, well, what are you looking for in between rounds?
Yeah, so in between rounds, I'm really not looking for a pep talk at all. The only thing that I'm really looking for is things that I can't see, that like little variances that like my opponent is doing, that, you know, because you sometimes need an outside perspective looking in to like look at the big picture, because I can't see everything going on between, like I see one version, but my coach sees a different version. And he's really good at relaying that to me of like, hey, she's doing this every time that you throw 1-2 or leg kicks or anything like that. Like the little subtleties that that I can't necessarily pick up in the rhythms and things like that. That's what he's really good at. And my coach Eddie is really, really good at that. So I think he'll do a good job at, you know, in this fight, cornering me and being there to see those little subtleties and things like that.
So you're able to like catch, but do you want a lot of information or just like those little, like, is it, you want it brief? You want it brief or do you want it detailed? Like,
yeah, very brief,
just
very
brief,
like high level, just like, this is what she's doing. This is what you need to do. And that's it. And I'm like, okay, got it.
Yeah. Cause I can imagine you don't want, you know, your fighter thinking too much about those things and then you get
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm very like logical, not very emotional at all, but just like super logical. So I'm like, just give me A and B and I can figure out C.
All right.
So instead of being like, hey, just calm down in there. That's not me. I'm like, yeah, I am calm. I'm trying to like beat this person up.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully you won't need too much information, because I always like that. I always like to listen to the corners, what they're saying and stuff, and like hopefully you don't need a lot of information after the first round. So
yes, that's the best case scenario. So hopefully I don't need a lot of information.
You know what I noticed, that something I'll give you something that I noticed about you that you have that I think is overlooked in a lot of fighters, and it's a huge asset. I think is very underrated. Is the fact that when you want to grapple with someone and when you take them to the cage or to the ground or whatever, you're willing to take the shots to get there, and that's something I'm missing. And even the last card, I'm not gonna name any names, but there's some people that's so frustrating to watch when you know that their path to victory is the takedown. So they're standing with a top striker, and they have a mental block, or they're too afraid to get hit to get it. But that's what I think is a very overlooked asset that people don't often talk about. It's like, you know, that's what I feel.
That's awesome that you actually, that you said that, because in the gym, that's like a pretty big one for me. There's this wrestler that I train with every day, Christian Strong. He's so good. He's fought on Fury a couple times, or I'm sorry, one time. He's gonna get booked again. But that's one thing. He's such a good wrestler that like I have to take 2 and 3 shots just to like be successful. So it's like, I know I'm gonna miss that first shot, probably gonna miss the second shot, but maybe I'll get that third shot, you know? So it's like shoot, reshoot. And that's something that like, I'm just gritty, I guess. And it's just something that I've kind of instilled inside
like
myself.
Not caring about getting hit. I know it's like tough to be in there, and it's hard to, you know, get over that. But you know, sometimes you're like, you have to think. I feel I'm gonna get hit anyway if I don't do this, so I might as well do it and get hit. At least try something, right? Let's see. Yeah. So, is there anything you think you're missing? What is something that you think you're missing to reach your full potential? Maybe whether it's like something to do with training camp or like whatever, nutrition.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I think one of the big ones that I just recently went back to, after the Loopy fight fell through was I reached out to my strength and conditioning coach, Josh Ortegan, and he lives back in South Carolina where I'm from. And I worked with him all through high school, all through college during the summers and things like that, as I was working for my cross country and track season. And going back to him, I think is like my key, like, thing that I needed to piece back into my whole programming. Cause I think he's the best strength coach, that I could ever ask for. And I was lucky enough to find him in South Carolina. So, me going back to him and working with him on my strength conditioning, I think is so vital. And I got to do about 4 weeks before, I had to kind of pull back for this fight. So I'm excited to kind of showcase that. And then going forward, working with him, continuing to, for him to program, different things for me, I think is going to be, key in future fights.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And like, it's good to be aware of all those things, of course. So sort of like, it seems like you know what you need to do to get to where you want to be, but where do you want to be? Like, what's your goal here? Because so now we're the same age. You are, and I think,
are you 29?
I'm 29 too. I just turned 29.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But I think so. Scientifically, I think science was always debating when is an athlete's prime in general. Like, and it's increased like over the years. I think now it's closer to, they say between 28 and 31. I think so. You should be in or near your prime years now. So this is like the way. This is the time, to make a move. What's your goal? What are you fighting for?
Yes, and exactly what I. Yeah, that's exactly what I feel like, going into this fight is she's 9-1. So like for me to get a win over her is huge. My record doesn't really show it. I'm 5-3, but I feel like I'm one of the toughest in the top 15. And so my goal within these next 2 years is like slowly work towards that top 15, top 10, and then eventually fight for the title. And that's exactly, I want to feel that belt wrapped around my waist. I want Juliana to get that belt wrapped around her waist. Like that's exactly what I want. And this is what I'm working for and striving for day in and day out.
Love it. Love it. And because like, yeah, about the record, it's something that I always talk about, and it's something I agree with. It's very important, I think, to take those. You never took an easy fight, and then you take on Tecia Torres in your UFC debut. Loma Lukbumi, one of the best like Muay Thai strikers in the whole UFC, and out of all of the women at least. And people should look into the record, not just the number. Like that's the thing that a lot of people, especially when I'm betting, for example, like I'm not looking at the number. You look at who they fought against, and who they lost against is something that gets overlooked as well by most fans, but the hardcores know. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's like the biggest thing that, I even look at like Angela Hill, her record.
Yes, exactly. Yes, I was going to bring her
like
up too.
12-10 or something like that. But that is a tough chick. And I actually, this past Sunday, I did some rounds with one of her training partners that she used to train with at Alliance, Christine Stanley. And her and Angela Hill and Christine are like best of friends. So to be able to get like some rounds with Christine and stuff like that, it was great for me. And she talks so highly about Angela Hill. So I don't think records, I mean, they do matter because obviously the UFC really cares about that, but it's all about who you fight.
Depends. I mean, Masvidal, he had the late resurgence. I mean, look at his, he has like 16 or something losses, I think. Exactly. One of my favorites to watch, and he just got a big win, is Bobby Green. Now he is also, Bobby it's Green like, awesome. Yeah, you end up getting sometimes on like the wrong side of these split decisions, and like it's a game of details. You can easily like have 4 or 5 losses less than at that point, and then people look at you differently all of a sudden, even though nothing else changed. It's if you had a different judge on the night, like who knows? Which
is super frustrating, and I've been through that before. Where looking back on my first 2 fights with Loopy, I mean that was the main thing. It was like, man, if I didn't have those judges, like it could have gone a completely different way. But it is what it is.
Yeah, this is a new generation of fighters coming up, so maybe you will face each other at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
So about that, you're in the let's say you're in the locker rooms, and how do you get into that mental space and tap into that killer instinct sort of? Because you seem like a nice person, but
very nice outside of the cage. That's what's so funny is like I'm super like non-confrontational outside of the cage, but once you get me in there, I'm like, I'm gonna knock your head off. But yeah, so like whenever I'm in in the locker room just like focusing, I like to listen to music, kind of like self-meditation, things like that, like positive self-talk, and just like get into the zone. And that's kind of like I don't really like to talk to anybody else. Just kind of like get into my own little flow.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, you're isolated. I heard a funny story. Like this was on one of the podcasts that I work with. It was Bazooka Joe, you know, like the kickboxer,
Yes.
the lawyer kickboxer. Yeah, he was on, and he said like funny thing is because he's a super nice guy as well, and he doesn't hurt or fly. And he says like I was like throughout fight week, he starts imagining and starting to convince himself that his opponent killed his dog, and he doesn't even have a dog, and he's like, he killed my dog and he's trying to kill my family. He starts putting that in his head the whole week so that he gets this killer instinct against his guy. So yeah.
Oh, that's
so it's funny to see like different ways that people do that, you know. Yeah.
Yes, that's
All
really
right.
really funny. I haven't heard that before, but that's pretty good. I actually a couple weeks ago I heard this thing that Kobe used to do is he would listen to the Halloween soundtrack. You know, like just the instrumental like music, and he just like put that on repeat. And then so I thought that was kind of cool. I was like,
interesting.
Yeah.
No, I have it like when I spar or something. It's like always music. Like if I'm hitting the bag before, you know, and just get the right song, and it's like always inspirational. Or a lot of the time, what I do is like I look up if there's any walkout songs or ring walk songs that really get me in the mood, like get me aggressive, that fighters walk out to. I'll look them up the next day, like if it's UFC or boxing or whatever. Like this one I need to add to my playlist just in case, you know. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna go into some of the fan questions that we got.
Okay, perfect.
Because I'm not used to doing the shorter format. I have to like sort of learn to keep it confined, you know. But I think this is a cool addition. To sort of make things more interactive. Like we have the fan questions in the long format too, but you know, maybe in the short form, maybe I'll just post all the fan questions or the fan question segment to make it, you know, interactive.
Yeah, I like that.
Get a fan base. So, Mr. Music Army says, do you have any superstitions in general and before you walk out to the cage?
Ooh, I am actually super like superstitious. It's funny. I've like tried to break that because it's not a good habit to get into, but like of course, like you pack like lucky stuff, like random things into your bag. And but even after my losses, I'm like, nope, I'm never using that bag again. It's bad luck.
Oh, really?
And all this other stuff. Yeah, that's me big time. So I've kind of gotten into that habit. And I was like that all through like my racing careers in college and stuff like that too. Is lucky uniform, lucky underwear, lucky socks, different things like that. So I'm a little bit superstitious.
Makes sense. I mean, even if it's just mentally, you look at the thing and it reminds you of that time, maybe it'll diminish your mental preparation or something. You know, you'll start doubting yourself more, maybe. You know, just seeing that damn thing. You know, like, get out of your damn socks. Like, yeah.
I know.
This is a guy from Ill Shrill. Do you ever feel social anxiety before going to training? And if so, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, anxiety is a big one. I think all fighters really have a lot of anxiety actually, but never really talk about it because, you know, they think it makes them weak or anything like that. But I think if you can channel that anxiety and you can channel it into something positive, because everybody's going to get nerves. That's the reason why you're anxious, is because you care about it. You care about winning, you care about losing, you care about how your performance goes. So anxiety is a big one, but it's just how you channel it. And I think if you can channel that energy into something positive, then it can like really be beautiful. And I've had some really good performances, and I've like thrown up before because I was like so anxious about it. But it's all about
because I also have anxiety. Like this is it's like, well, throughout the years you sort of learn how to channel this. Exactly, I agree. And it's like if I relate it to like production, for example, anxiety before a big production, video production, it's like I managed to channel it in a way because you're always afraid of things technically going wrong or you forgot something, whatever. It keeps you sharp. At least like if you use it to keep you sharp, then it's a positive. Exactly.
Yes, super, super positive. That's a good way also.
All right. And here there's two questions from this guy. He always asks good questions. The fake Marlon Vera. That's not the real one. It's his
Oh,
name. It's
okay,
the fake
yeah.
Marlon
I just
Vera.
saw he started following me. He's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. What's one technique that you learned that you can't get enough of?
Ooh, man, that's a good one. Clinch work has been, I kind of have two. So like clinch work, I've really been like sitting hard on, and elbows inside the clinch, are huge. And then like anything where it's like, cause I'm a big kickboxer lover. So I love Pride. I love Glory. Glory's a big one. And, so like any like spinning, like heel kicks, I love them either to like the body or the liver, or the heads, like that shit is awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Chris Barnett. Did you watch Chris Barnett?
Yes.
I want to see if I can. I'm gonna ask him to come on too. Like, actually, he just reminded me. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
He's cool. Yeah, no. If you please do it. Like I love seeing the elbows land. Like we had a lot of those on the last card, and it was fantastic. It's always good. Oh yeah, his second question though. Titles aside, if you had a free pick at fighting anybody in the UFC, who would it be? So there's no title involved.
Wait, say that question one more time.
Titles aside, if you had a free pick at fighting anybody in the UFC, who would it be?
Ooh, good question. Man, who would it be? I don't know. I like Kay Hansen a lot. I think she's kind of got a cool like fighting style. And I know a lot of people have reached out to me and are like, yeah, you should fight Kay. And I'm like, okay, maybe down the road. Man, there's so many strawweights in the division that I eventually want to fight. I don't know. Luana would be awesome too. Because I respect her kickboxing so much. She's like such an amazing kickboxer. So yeah, probably Luana. Then
I hope she wins the title, because otherwise I feel like she's out, you know. Then you can get to fight her. New Amsterdam store. Those are friends that are New Amsterdam store. What's your favorite clothing style?
Ooh, clothing style. So I love like, I don't know. I feel like I'm in like workout clothes all the time. So I love like joggers. I love like fun workout tees. Like super like comfortable, but like fashionable too. I like shoes, but I'm not like, I don't buy a lot of them, but I look a lot. So
yeah, right. I'm the same with that. Yeah. I love people still say I have too many shoes, but I don't really. Come on.
I know that's me too. I'm like, I should get more shoes, but then I'm like, no, you don't need to buy anything more. So yeah.
I know if you get a performance bonus, you'll get it. You're gonna get some shoes. Yeah.
That's a big
Make that your motivation. Let's do it. Yeah. Andre DeSanctis says, so there's so many good questions like these. I feel like these are the best questions we've had. Fighting once a year and getting the 50K fight of the night bonus on top of your purse, or fighting 3 times a year for less. Here's the question. I thought, talking to you before, I thought you were gonna say fighting 3 times a year for less because you just want to fight.
Yeah, man, that's tough. The only caveat that I would have is fighting 3 times a year, but my performances, like how I looked in those fights, were great. Even if I didn't get the bonus, I would choose fighting 3 times a year. Because I just want to always go in there and be like, man, Sam really deserves to be there. She looks great. She like, you know, she deserved to win. Things like that. That's always what I want to like come out of a fight. Having people think. Not that it really truly matters, but that's, you know.
Yeah, I was wondering if like would you rather like be in a back and forth, very close banger of a fight that people are like, this was a great fight, or would you rather like completely dominate someone?
I like the, you know, like the bangers that are just like, oh my God, those two have like an awesome fight. That should be fight of the night. Which is exactly what would have been with Loopy, because Loopy is down to like just throw, and she's like, I think she's a really good boxer. But I think I'm also a very good striker. So like I actually texted Mick. I haven't told anybody this, but I actually texted Mick and I was like, Mick, that would have been fight of the night. We definitely have to make that work. Cause honestly, the fans were talking about it. So it'll happen.
Yeah. And it works in your favor that, you know, she's getting a big fan base. Like she's getting a lot of respect from the fight community too, you know?
Totally.
It's just more eyeballs, you know?
Yeah.
Last one. Vane_Sanchez. The best music to walk out to before walking out to the cage. The best music to warm up to before walking out to the cage. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anything rap, really. I mean, that always like gets me going. Like anything with a really good beat, like that always hypes me up. Rap is like pretty much my go-to. I like country, but I will never listen to country before a fight.
Yeah, I'm surprised when someone chooses country as a walkout song. Like, I don't know, wouldn't do it for me. Like, I'm always surprised if someone like when someone walks out to a country song, like that just wouldn't do it to me. Like,
yeah, I couldn't do it. I mean, I guess like maybe Cowboy could get away with it because he is. But,
but he has the Kid Rock
that,
song, so that still gets hard at some point. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey,
those
thanks
are
so
super
much.
good questions. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. I'm surprised. Like, because we've also had situations where we had a ton of questions and there's not a single like good one in between. Like,
right.
Yeah. So, but hey, thank you so much for coming on and supporting the platform as well. And please, if you have anything to promote other than your fight on November 20th against Luana Pinero, guys, tune in from the beginning because it's gonna be, according to Google, the opening fight of the night. Anything else to promote?
Yeah, I just want to thank all my sponsors, HKA, USA. They have been fantastic. Sorry about that. They've been fantastic. They've helped me through this camp. Again, like all my coaches, Eddie Grant, Joshua Tagan, like I appreciate you guys so much. And I'm really looking forward to this fight. Nick, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.